Hey, if you've been watching any of our past episodes, you know one of my very favorite things to talk about is anything covert. So in the next few minutes, I want you to stay with us. We're going to talk about one of my favorite subjects, and that is the importance and the fun that you can have with your family in coming up with some ways to be covert in your communication. Stay with us. Since the beginning of time, mankind has been coming up with ways to covertly communicate with each other, to get a message to someone that's on your team that the enemy isn't going to immediately translate and know exactly what your intentions are. Think about how valuable it would be for you to come up with a plan with your family for how you can covertly communicate. And I'll bet you already are thinking in your mind of a few ways that you already have in place for your family. I want us to get a little bit more strategic and specific in our plans for the future going forward regarding covert communication. But let's look back, because it's really fun to think about through history some of the most famous ways that secret codes have been used. If you're like me, you love learning about different ones, and one of the most famous is the Voynich Manuscript. That's a whole book that for centuries went without being able to be deciphered. Only in recent years have they been able to de-encrypt or decipher most of it, but some of it is still a mystery. There's also, you think of everything from cuneiform or the symbols that have been put on cave walls that they've found that they don't have a translation for exactly what they mean, but they can tell it's a language. They can tell that it meant something to the people that understood. One of the most intriguing stories from recent history was just back at World War II, where the Nazis developed the Enigma. And if you get a chance to look that up, there are documentaries and even movies made about that. I think one is called The Imitation Game. Check it out if you have a chance, because what an incredible story, and what an interesting story about the man, Mr. Turing, who was able to figure out how to decode that whole system with his own invention. Of course, we all know about Morse Code. That's a very common one that was used in the wars and on ships and all kinds of different environments through the military. There's also hand signals. The military, police officers use hand signals to signal to each other so they don't have to make a sound when they're out there working with one another. It makes a lot of sense to learn something like this for your family as well. A couple other fun examples are Paul Revere's ride. If you remember, it was if there's one lantern up in the church, above the church up there, if I see one lantern, I'll know one thing. But if you put two lanterns, it'll be a whole different message, and I'll know that. Google it and learn about it, because it's such a cool story. Also, you hear the fun song back from World War II of tie a yellow ribbon around the old oak tree. Well, that really was a thing. That really was something that has been done in the past, but it communicated that, hey, you're welcome to come on home. There was also, in the Underground Railroad, a whole system of communicating with symbols that would be etched into the barn door with a pocket knife or something like that. Etched in with a symbol that says, hey, these people are fine to ask for a meal, or this is a safe barn to sleep in for the night, or these people will help you get to the next place that you need to go, or don't stop here because this is dangerous. It's so good to think about the need that you might have in the future for some symbols like that, and to learn about them to prepare for that. Some more, just thinking about it, Ben Franklin even had that secret code that he wrote, and you can find pictures of it online. So intriguing, where he wrote a full code for his wife and family, and it was very easy to decipher. And he had the key written right in his own personal journal of that. He was also on a committee with the government to help in time of war, where they would, across country lines, be able to send secret codes to each other. Very intriguing stuff. Like I said, just carving things in the tree. or a stump, or tying a bandana around a tree limb can communicate, hey, this is the way, I've gone this direction, or don't go this way, go the opposite direction. Think about that. Let me just give you a couple fun ones. A couple of years ago, I was dating a guy that wanted to make sure that I knew that when we were in a group of people and we needed to rally and get on out of there, that he was ready to go. If he ever said the word pineapple in conversation, that was my cue. It was time to go. Or it might, in some situations, mean, hey, look, there's something really strange going on over there. Look that direction, or something like that. But every time that word came up, I knew, hey, that means we need to get on out the door or whatnot. Another thing that could be said is happy birthday. If you and your husband know it's not either of your birthdays, but you can say it in a joking way or mention their birthday, and they kind of look at you like crazy, hey, I'm telling you, it's time to get out of here, or let's meet over at the restroom, or something like that. You can have it mean whatever you want. You just get to come up with whatever that meaning is. Another idea is when you have a ring on your ring finger, unless you're somebody who always wears rings on their pointer finger, just the simple practice of changing your ring to another finger can really be an easy thing to identify from across the room by your loved one that, hey, I need you to know something is wrong here, we got to get out of here, or I'm feeling sick, or whatever it is. Something that simple can be a very good way to communicate to someone who can only see you visually. Even the action of crossing your fingers while you're talking, it can look to the person you're talking to as just a simple fidgeting. But to your husband across the room, he'll know, hey, she's crossing her fingers, there's something going on. Or crossing your legs to the left or to the right. Other things, you remember the symbol of turning a stamp upside down to mean I love you, or turning it to the right or to the left to mean something different. You can think of that as you're communicating, or back in the day, we've heard stories of when they would hide a secret message underneath the stamp. Remember that? Okay, let's talk about even the idea of coming up with a secret code for your family. I love this idea. It's very simple if you have, and I would recommend maybe 2 layers of encryption that you guys can come up with. But get the kids involved in this. Say, everybody go to your room, come up with your own secret code, then let's come back as a family and put our heads together and choose which elements of this we want to incorporate so everyone is involved and we all know exactly what we mean in certain situations. Remember also that sometimes you're going to be with other people and you need to communicate silently, where there are going to be situations where you need to use verbally something with sound or light or some other version of communication, smoke signals, but some other form of communication like a special word or such. So you need different versions of ways to communicate with each other, not just 1 or 2. But in coming up with a secret code, let's talk about that just for a minute. And it's really, really fun. It can be something as simple as taking a crossword puzzle or a Sudoku puzzle and then turning that into some sort of an encrypted wording and code that each number or letter or symbol means something different. There are all kinds of ways that you can do this. But remember that the alphabet has 26 letters. The English alphabet anyway. Then you've got the numbers 1 through 10 that you kind of need to represent. And you might get a little bit creative and perhaps conjunctions or some sort of words like and, but, or, nor, for, yet. You might have a symbol that means those different things. And I'm getting a little bit complicated here, but or and nor are such close words that I probably would recommend you use the same word for those. And, but, or, nor, for, and yet. That means that you would need 6 different additional symbols that might mean a whole word rather than just 1 letter. And then you can get creative as you're writing those symbols down and assign a meaning to each of them that's very simple for your family. And then come up with a way to to add a second layer of encryption. One of the fun secret codes that I made for myself here a while back had my grandmother's quilt as the key to decipher the code. So only family members that know my precious grandmother and her quilt would be able to even figure out that second level of encryption, where my enemies or someone from the outside would really maybe get through one layer, but they would probably not use a computer algorithm or any other way to decipher that code unless they knew about my own grandmother's special double wedding ring quilt. All right, that's just an example. But now it's your turn. I want you to take the time this week. This is so much fun. Get your family involved, get your loved ones involved, and just ask them, hey, what's the special word we need to have? Start there. You don't even have to talk prepper. You can just say to your best friend, hey, we're going into this situation. What's the secret word if we need to meet up and get out of here? Or what's the sign if I cross my legs to the right or left, or wave at you a certain way, or say happy birthday when it's not your birthday? Let that be something you establish first. Then get a little bit more intricate with your family and come up with a system, both in-house, outside of the house. If you need to mark the house as, hey, don't come near, there's danger here. If you have a wreath on your front door with a bow at a certain place, have your family all recognize exactly how it's supposed to look. And if you needed to communicate that, hey, it's not safe to come in the house, or hey, don't come in here, meet me at grandma's house up in Michigan, if you had the wreath automatically moved, turned to a certain degree, almost like a compass, let the family know, hey, it's pointing toward Michigan, don't go in the house, there's danger here, let's all meet at grandma's house. You get the idea? A wreath can be used almost like a compass to point a certain direction without anyone else recognizing or noticing what's going on except for you and your family. Another idea to use would be any kind of small landmark that your family is so familiar with seeing in the exact spot it always should be. For it to be moved slightly, no stranger is probably going to pick up on that. Everything else can look untouched on your property, but if you have a small landmark that's been moved, it might be as simple as a little cement gnome or something that you have in the yard that you've moved to the other side of the steps. Come up with several different ways that you can get an important message to each other, and then put it all together, learn it well, and then destroy the evidence. That's where one of my favorite things, edible paper, can come in. I've got some of my own, and it's so much fun to write on it with non-toxic markers or whatnot, whatever I want, send it to someone, and then have them eat it so there's no evidence left. Now, it's your turn. There are so many other things I haven't mentioned, like, invisible ink, or different ways to communicate, and symbols and different things. You come up with your own way, and then share this video with someone you love. Let us know how we have helped, or don't give away your secret code, but let us know some of the ideas that you would have that would add to this list of things that we've mentioned here today. Go out, and until I see you next time, I hope you'll take time to share this video, subscribe and hit the bell if you haven't already, and be a blessing to someone this week. And we'll see you next time. There is a pretty cool promise in the end of Romans as Paul is signing off. In chapter 16, verse 20, he says this: "The God of peace will soon crush Satan under your feet. The grace of the Lord Jesus Christ be with you." I love that. Now go spread the word.